And I want to talk about a particular situation going on right now in Baltimore. And I'd like to give you a little I told you so while I'm at it, Ards. But Sam Basallo, the minor league catcher for the Baltimore Orioles, just cashed in, got himself $67 million extension before he even gets to the major leagues. And you could see the grin on his face. He looks like he's a very happy guy. Now, why? Why are we talking about this? Because they already have a catcher, or do they? David, take it from there.
Well, you're leading into like all this. You are the one wanting to like talk about like.
Okay, fine, fair enough.
What you think they're going to do? I'll tell you what the situation currently is. Adley Rutschman's their catcher, and but he's hurt. And then they bring up the young rookie who's their number one prospect, like with like all of their guys. And just put them in a list. Somebody's got to be number one prospect. And the guy comes up as playing pretty decent, and then they give him a huge contract. And he's only got 25 at-bats or something crazy like that. And they end up giving them this 8-year contract. And it just brings up a lot of very interesting questions about the Orioles.
Before the season started, we started talking about Paul Skeens and the Pittsburgh Pirates, and we were talking about how the Pirates and the Baltimore Orioles would have made wonderful trade partners. And I asked you, is there anybody on the Baltimore Orioles that you wouldn't trade? And the two guys that you came up with were Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman. And if you remember, there was a certain Greek guy who told you that catchers are a depreciating value, and we've seen many catchers have wonderful years, but how often do they keep it going? There is your Piazzas, your Pudges, your Johnny Benches, but for the most part, you've got the Joe Mauers of the world. You've got the I forgot the catcher's name in Chicago who had a whole bunch of home runs in his rookie year, and then he sucked. Soto. Adley Rutschman, his OPS plus from the time he came into the league went from 131 to 128 to 105 to 91 this year. His home runs went from 13 to 20 to 19 to 9. He is regressing terribly. I understand he was injured.
He's injured. He's had injuries.
Okay, but last year he went down too.
And he was an all-star, and then he went down when he was hurt.
Don't give me an all-star, please. The one thing I don't want to hear is all-star because Juan Soto wasn't an all-star this year. Okay,
yeah, imagine how much better he is.
I hate you. But my point is, there is a track record in the history of baseball of catchers who have those flash in the pan starts in their career, and then all of a sudden it goes down and down and down because of the beating your body takes as a catcher. And this is why I would never sign a catcher to a long-term contract. And if I have a catcher who has pop, I trade him immediately.
Adley Rutschman was hurt in the second half last year, and it continued into this year. That's it. Adley Rutschman hit 275 in the first half last year with a 441 slugging and a 780 OPS. Second half of last year, he had a 585 OPS and 200. He had 16 home runs in the first half, and he had 3 in the second half. 60 RBIs, 220. The dude's just banged up. Okay. So that's Adley Rutschman. No matter what reason, but he's banged up. He had injuries or something. Got to figure out. Same thing happened to Corbin Carroll. Figured it out, and he's incredible again. So there's a lot of things to go there. I don't think it has anything to do with Adley Rutschman being like losing it for what it is. I think this whole team sucked this year. Everybody's had down years basically, and it's absolutely a nightmare what they're doing. What I don't get, and here's my problem with it, is you are now investing in your young players without knowing they're any good yet again. And so instead of going out and taking the young prospect and getting a lot of value for him, they're going to trade Adley Rutschman when he's hurt and the lowest value he's ever been. Well, so you're going to get the least you're ever going to get for Adley Rutschman is right now, because what are they going to do? Hit the trade market and be like, "Ooh, check out Adley Rutschman. He's so good," and everyone's going to look at him, wonderful. So you're starting catcher, right, for the next 8 years, and they're like, "No, have a position actually." Yeah, and so like they're doing the exact opposite everybody should be doing. if you didn't see Adley Rutschman as your starting catcher of the future, you should have traded him at the deadline and been blown everybody away and gotten the house for him, and then immediately bring up the rookie and sign him to an 8-year deal, make catcher of our future. You just signed the catcher of your future after you had the catcher of your future on your roster. Yep. And you're not doing anything with them. This is classic stupid ass Baltimore Orioles doing what they should have never done in the first place, which is hold prospects and hold veterans and not do anything with any of them. And then you're going to let them become a free agent. I don't get me wrong. Adley Rutschman's they're not going to let him become a free agent unless they move the DH or first base, or they move this guy like you know what their whole cover was. Well, this guy can play first base, you know, and he has a glove, or he can DH, or he can do whatever. It's amazing what he can do. Then why are you paying him like he's your starting catcher? You know, like this, like you already have guys that could be your first baseman that are probably better power hitters and stuff. Adley Rutschman had better numbers than this guy had in the minors. And then Adley Rutschman came up to the big leagues and did it. And yet this guy's going to take Adley Rutschman's spot. He might be a better catcher. He might show better catching, framing numbers, and throw, you know, like a better arm than Adley Rutschman. But it probably wasn't that much better. And you're telling me, like, so I'm just going to sit, Michael Elias, we're just going to sit with these guys on a roster, and then you're going to get value for them? Like, you keep holding these guys too long. Constantly. Like, I don't completely disagree. I shouldn't have ever, I wouldn't have traded Adley Rutschman at the beginning of the year, right? We disagreed on this. But now you have to do something with one of these two, and you just put your money where the young guy is. So now you got Adley Rutschman. Adley might be just fine. And you know what? I will give him a lot of credit. He went to the contract signing, like the press conference. He was there. He was representing with almost all of his team. Awesome. Class act. That's what your leader is. That's what your catcher is. The dude, no matter how bad he is, still has a 1.7 WAR on the year, right? He's still a productive player for you, let alone the 15 WAR he came from 3 other years, and last year wasn't even that good. So, like, Mike Elias and the Orioles are constantly putting themselves in this stupid ass spot with their roster. Congratulations, you're there again.
Yeah, and please I don't want anybody to think that I didn't like Adley Rutschman. I like Adley Rutschman.
No, you just thought the value for him was so high and you could go do something with him. And I was like, no, you have the dude in the most important position. Don't do anything with him. And now you don't. And now you think you're somebody else. Anyways.
Yeah, and that's the problem that I have, because they had so many young prospects and because they had so many good players. That was the time to strike. And when I looked at that team and I said, okay, who is the guy that I should get rid of? Immediately I thought of Adley, because of the factor that he's a catcher, and it doesn't work out long-term for catchers very often to be that guy. It just doesn't happen. I mean,
I think you're slightly biased on that. I actually bet there's maybe a longer term future as catchers than other positions. How about this? Let's look that up. Let's figure that out, because that's a very interesting something. We can talk about it in another episode. We can talk about it. It's not going to be something you find right now.
No, but there's
too thick of a question.
There's one player in particular that I want to mention, a guy who got a lot of money and had a couple of really nice years, and then all of a sudden now it's starting to go down, and that guy would happen to be the Phillies catcher JT Realmuto. And you take a look at his numbers, and they keep yes, he's doing okay, but you're paying a lot of money. This year he's hitting 278 with 10 home runs and 45 RBIs for the money that you're paying him. And
he's got the number 1 pitching staff in all of baseball.
Fine, but they didn't.
That works. That's what you pay him for.
JT Realmuto for that. They signed
him. That's what you pay him for. And he's putting up the numbers. Like, he's doing the exact job you pay that money for. He is the example of why you pay the catcher the money.
Well, what's his contract status? JT Realmuto's. How much money is he making this year? Do you have any idea?
I can pull it up here in half a second.
Okay, he signed a 5-year, $115.5 million with an average salary of $23 million.
Hell yeah.
Is
Perfect.
is a 103 OPS plus guy a $23 million player?
for running a pitching staff and hitting 278, 9, 16 home runs? Hells yeah.
Sorry, I think he's been a little underwhelming.
But you don't create the rosters the correct way. You want a catcher who hits. I want a catcher who can hit and runs a pitching staff. I need the pitching staff. When I'm the Philadelphia Phillies and I have the best pitching staff possibly in baseball, that is my priority. That is my number one, numero uno priority. I am paying for that. And there is not a catcher there might not be a catcher in baseball, maybe Salvi, that's more respected currently than JT Realmuto by pitching staffs and by pitchers. They want him. They need him back there. That is what you're paying him $23 million for. And the dude still hits. And the dude still has a 270 average with 16 home runs, whatever you said it is. And that's a down year.
Look, I'll be honest. I am certainly biased when it comes to the catcher conversation because I'm a Mets fan. And you think in my lifetime, the catchers that the Mets have had, they've always had a good hitting catcher, from Gary Carter to Mike Piazza to Buck to who the hell else did they have? They had the other Dodger catcher, Paul LaDuca. They've always had a guy who can hit in that catcher spot. When you have that guy behind the dish who can hit and hit for power, it changes your team completely. Take a look. Well, we won't talk about him right now because that's our next segment, but it's happening in the AL West, isn't it?